If you want to build wealth, you have to win the simple battles first. One of those battles is what you do with idle cash. A bank account can feel safe while it is quietly shrinking you. I am Warren Buffett. I have seen what works and what does not. And I need to tell you something your bank does not want you to focus on. If you are keeping your cash sitting in a bank account, you are making one of the biggest financial mistakes of your life. You are being squeezed in a way you can measure. Inflation is quietly cutting the value of your cash. And many people do not notice it until years have passed. But before I tell you exactly where people who build wealth on purpose put their money instead, before we go further, subscribe to the channel and become a member. If you act on these ideas, they can be worth a great deal to your future, because the information I am sharing with you today is worth thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars to your future. So do it right now. Subscribe. You think your money is safe in the bank. You think because it says you have $10,000 or $50,000 in your account that you actually have that much wealth. Wrong, dead wrong. Every single day that money sits there. It is losing value. Let me explain this to you like I would explain it to an entrepreneur in the tank. Inflation is eating your money alive, right? Now inflation is running hot. Your bank is paying you, what, 1% interest, maybe 2%, if you are lucky. Meanwhile, the cost of everything, groceries, gas, housing, is going up by 5, 6, 7% or more. Do the arithmetic. You are losing 4 to 5% of your purchasing power every single year. That is not safe. That is financial suicide. Here is what really makes me angry. Banks understand this dynamic. They know you are losing money, but their incentives are not aligned with yours because they're making a fortune off of you. They take your cash, they pay you almost nothing in interest, and then they turn around and lend it out at 5, 6, 7% or more. They're using your money to get rich. While you sit there thinking you are being responsible, it is the biggest scam in the history of finance. And it is happening to millions of people every single day, people who build wealth on purpose, the people who actually understand how money works. They don't play this game. They don't leave cash sitting around getting destroyed. They put their money to work. They invest in assets that protect them from inflation and actually grow their wealth. Now, I know what you are thinking, Charlie. I need to keep some cash for emergencies. I get it. I am not telling you to have $0 in the bank. You need liquidity. You need 3 to 6 months of expenses somewhere safe and accessible. But anything beyond that, anything you are hoarding because you think it is the smart, safe thing to do, you are wrong. You are being too conservative, and it is killing your financial future. The middle class has been taught to save, 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 put your money in the bank, don't take risks. But you know what? That advice made sense 50 years ago when banks paid you 5 or 6% interest and inflation was low today. It is a trap. Let me tell you something about rich people. I spend time with billionaires. I invest with them. I see how they operate. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, they do not keep their wealth in cash. They understand that cash is trash. It is a melting ice cube. The longer you hold it, the smaller it gets. Instead, they move their money into assets. Real assets that hold value, generate income, and protect against inflation. These aren't complicated strategies. These aren't things that require you to be a genius or have insider connections. These are simple, proven vehicles that anyone can access if they just know where to look. So what are these assets? What are the 5 things that rich people use instead of letting their money rot in a bank account? That is exactly what I am going to show you. I am going to break down each one, tell you why it works, and show you how you can start using these strategies today. But here is the thing. This isn't just about making more money. This is about protecting what you already have. This is about making sure that when you retire, when you need that money, it is actually worth something. Because if you keep doing what you are doing, if you keep playing it safe with a bank account, in my experience, the math matters more than the mood. You are going to wake up 20 years from now and realize you've been robbed not by a criminal. I have learned to respect simple arithmetic, but by inflation, by the system, by your own fear. I've seen it happen too many times. People work hard their whole lives. They save every penny. They think they're doing the right thing. And then they retire and they realize their money doesn't go as far as they thought it would. They can't afford the life they dreamed of, because inflation stole it from them while they were busy being careful. I refuse to let that happen to you. That is why I am making this video. That is why I am telling you these secrets. Now, the first asset I am going to tell you about is something that has been around for thousands of years. It is something that has survived every economic crisis, every war, every collapse of every currency that has ever existed. Rich people have been using this to protect their wealth since the beginning of civilization. And no, it is not Bitcoin. It is not some new fad. It is something much older, much more reliable, and much more proven. If you are still watching, if you haven't subscribed yet, do it. Now hit that button, leave me a comment, tell me how much cash you have sitting in the bank doing nothing. The clock is ticking on your wealth. I am not trying to be clever. I am trying to be right. Every day you wait is another day inflation steals from you. The good news is it is not too late. You can fix this. You can start today, but you have to be willing to change your thinking. You have to be willing to do what people who build wealth on purpose do not. What the broke do, the first asset, the one that has been the foundation of wealth for thousands of years, is something you can buy today. You can hold it in your hand, you can store it, and no government, no bank, no politician can take it away from you. This is where we start gold. I am talking about gold now before you roll your eyes and think, this is some old-fashioned idea. Let me tell you why every single wealthy person I know owns gold. It is not because they're paranoid. It is not because they think the world is ending. It is because gold is the only asset that has maintained its value for over 5,000 years. Every paper currency that has ever existed has eventually gone to zero. Every single one. The Roman denarius gone, the German mark destroyed. Even the British pound, which used to be the world's reserve currency, lost over 90% of its value. But gold is still here. Gold still has value. Gold is still recognized and accepted everywhere on this planet here. It is what you need to understand about gold. It is not an investment. It is insurance. I don't buy gold because I think it is going to double or triple in price. I buy gold because I know that no matter what happens, economic collapse, currency crisis, war, my gold will still be worth something. You cannot print gold. You cannot create it out of thin air like governments do with money. There is a limited supply, and that scarcity is what gives it value. When I recommend that people own gold, I am telling them to put 5 to 10% of their wealth into it, not 50%, not everything you have, but enough that if something goes wrong, if inflation spirals out of control, if the dollar weakens significantly, you have a safety net that will hold its value. Now, how do you buy gold? You have options. You can buy physical gold, actual coins or bars that you can hold. I like that because there is something powerful about holding real wealth in your hands. I am not trying to be clever. I am trying to be right, but you have to store it safely, either in a safe in your home or in a secure vault. The other option is to buy gold through exchange-traded funds. These are funds that hold physical gold, and you own shares of that fund. It is easier, more liquid, and you don't have to worry about storage. Either way works. The important thing is that you own it. But gold is just the beginning. It is the foundation, the insurance policy. If you really want to build wealth, if you want your money to grow and not just survive, you need to get into the second asset. And this one is my favorite because it pays you while you own it, dividend-paying stocks. This is where real wealth is built. This is how you turn your money into a machine that generates income for you month after month, year after year. When you own dividend-paying stocks, you own pieces of real companies, businesses that make products, provide services, and generate profits. And the best part, they share those profits with you. Every quarter they send you a check, or more accurately, they deposit money directly into your account. You don't have to do anything. You just own the stock and you get paid. This is passive income at its finest. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have $50,000 sitting in a bank account earning 1% interest. That is $500 a year, pathetic. Now let's say you take that same $50,000 and invest it in a diversified portfolio of dividend-paying stocks that yield 4%. That is $2,000 a year in dividend income, 4 times more than the bank. And here is the kicker. Those dividends tend to grow over time. Companies increase their dividends as they grow. So that 4% yield today might be 5 or 6% in a few years. Your income goes up without you having to invest another dollar. But it gets even better. The stock prices themselves tend to go up over time. So not only are you collecting dividends, but the value of your investment is growing as well. You are getting paid twice income from dividends and growth from the stock price. I am not trying to be clever. I am trying to be right. This is how wealthy people build their fortunes. They buy great companies, collect the dividends, reinvest those dividends to buy more shares, and let the magic of compounding work for them over decades. I've been doing this my entire life. I own dividend-paying stocks in my portfolio, and those dividends provide a steady stream of income that I can count on no matter what is happening in the economy. Now, which stock should you buy? I'm not going to give you specific stock picks because that is not the point of this video, but I will tell you what to look for. You want companies with a long history of paying and increasing dividends. You want businesses that are stable, that provide essential products or services that people need no matter what. Think utilities, consumer staples, healthcare, telecommunications. These are boring businesses. But boring is good when it comes to dividends. You want consistency and reliability, not excitement. If you want freedom, you have to protect your buying power. And you want to diversify. Don't put all your money into one stock or even one sector. Spread it around. Own 10, 15, 20 different dividend payers across different industries. That way, if one company cuts its dividend, it is not a disaster. Over time, small edges turn into large outcomes. You still have income coming in from the others. The third asset rich people use is real estate. Now, I know what you are thinking, Kevin. I can't afford to buy a bunch of rental properties. I don't have millions of dollars. Relax. You don't need millions. You don't even need to buy physical properties if you don't want to. There are other ways to invest in real estate that are much more accessible. If you want freedom, you have to protect your buying power. But let's talk about why real estate is such a powerful wealth building tool. In my experience, the math matters more than the mood. First, it is a hard asset. It is physical. You can see it, touch it, use it, unlike cash, which is just paper. Real estate has intrinsic value. People need places to live and work. That demand isn't going away. Second, real estate generates income. If you own rental properties, your tenants pay. You rent every single month. That is cash flow. That is money coming in whether you go to work or not. I am not trying to be clever. I am trying to be right. Third, real estate appreciates over time. Yes, there are ups and downs, cycles and corrections, but over the long term, real estate values tend to go up. And fourth, real estate is a fantastic hedge against inflation when inflation goes up. So do rents, so do property values. Your real estate protects you from the very thing that is destroying your cash in the bank. Now, if you don't want to deal with tenants and toilets and all the headaches of being a landlord, I get it, that is not for everyone, but you can still invest in real estate through real estate investment trusts. These are companies that own and operate properties, apartment buildings, office buildings, shopping centers, warehouses. They're required by law to pay out most of their profits as dividends to shareholders. So you get the benefits of real estate ownership, the income, the appreciation, the inflation protection without having to manage anything yourself. You can buy shares just like you would buy shares of any stock. Some of them yield 6, 7, even 8% in dividends. I am not trying to be clever. I am trying to be right. That is serious income. And the best part is you can start with a small amount of money. You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can start with a few thousand and build from there. People who build wealth on purpose understand this. They know that real estate is one of the best ways to build and preserve wealth. That is why every rich person I know owns real estate. In some form, it is a cornerstone of wealth building. And it should be a cornerstone of your portfolio too. Now the fourth asset is something that most people completely overlook. It is something that is even more important than gold stocks or real estate. And if you don't have this, everything else you are doing is pointless. But before I tell you what it is, I need to see that you are paying attention. Go down to the comments right now and tell me which of these three assets you are most interested in: gold, dividends, stocks, or real estate. Let me know. And if you haven't subscribed and become a member yet, what are you waiting for? This information is valuable. Show me you are serious about your financial future. Do it. Now, the fourth asset isn't something you can hold in your hand or see on a statement, but it is the most important investment you will ever make. It is your skills. It is your ability to earn money. Think about it. You can lose all your gold. You can lose your stocks in a market crash. You can lose your real estate in a disaster. But nobody can take away nobody can take away your ability to create value. The wealthiest people in the world didn't get rich by saving money in a bank. They got rich by developing skills that allowed them to earn massive amounts of money they invested in themselves. First, I have learned to respect simple arithmetic. When I talk to young entrepreneurs, I always tell them the same thing. The best investment you can make is in yourself. Learn new skills, get better, at what you do, become an expert in your field, because your earning power is your greatest asset if you make $50,000 a year, right? Now, and you invest in learning new skills, getting certifications, building expertise. You could be making 75,000 or H100,000 inches a few years. That extra income is worth more than any stock or piece of real estate you could buy. I see too many people obsessing over where to invest their money, when they should be obsessing over how to earn more money. The rich spend money on education, on courses, on coaching, on anything that makes them better at what they do. They understand that a small investment in themselves can yield massive returns. If you spend $5,000 on a course that increases your income by $10,000 a year, that is a 200% return in the first year alone, and that increased earning power continues for the rest of your life. So before you worry about buying gold or stocks or real estate, ask yourself, have I invested in myself? Am I the best I can be at what I do? I am not trying to be clever, I am trying to be right. Because if the answer is no, that is where you need to start. Your skills are the foundation of everything else. They're what allow you to earn the money, to invest in the other assets. They're what protect you when times get tough. In my experience, the math matters more than the mood. Now let's talk about the fifth and final asset. This one is controversial. The fifth asset is alternative investments. I am talking about things like private equity, venture capital, cryptocurrencies, commodities, art, collectibles. Now, I am not saying you should dump all your money into these things. These are higher risk investments and they're not appropriate for everyone. But people who build wealth on purpose allocate a portion of their portfolio to alternatives because they offer diversification and the potential for outsized returns. Let me talk about cryptocurrency for a moment. I own Bitcoin, I own Ethereum, I believe in blockchain technology. But here is what I tell people: only invest what you can afford to lose. Crypto is volatile. It is speculative. I allocate about 3 to 5% of my portfolio to crypto. That is, it not 30%, a small allocation that gives me exposure to the upside without risking my financial security. If it goes to zero, it won't ruin me. But if it goes up 10 times, I'll benefit nicely. The same principle applies to other alternative investments. Private equity can generate incredible returns, but you need to know what you are doing. Venture capital is even riskier. Most startups fail. But the ones that succeed can return a hun. Times your investment commodities can be good hedges against inflation. Art and collectibles can appreciate significantly over time. But these should only be a small part of your overall strategy. The point of alternative investments is to add spice to your portfolio, but they should never be the core of your wealth. So let's put this all together. If you have $100,000, here is how I would recommend you deploy it: 5 to 10% in gold. That is your insurance policy. 40 to 50% in dividend-paying stocks. That is $40,000 to $50,000 working for you, generating income and growing over time. 20 to 30% in real estate or real estate investment trusts. And then the remaining 10 to 20% you can put into alternatives if you understand the risks, or keep it in a high-yield savings account for emergencies. That is a balanced, diversified portfolio that protects you from inflation, generates income, and gives you growth potential. But here is the most important thing: you have to start. You have to take action. Too many people watch videos like this, they nod their heads, and then they do nothing. They go right back to leaving their money in the bank where it is getting destroyed. Don't be that person. Don't let fear or laziness rob. In my experience, the math matters more than the mood. Of your financial future, people who build wealth on purpose got wealthy because they took action. They moved their money out of cash and into assets. They didn't wait for the perfect time. They started with what they had, and they built from there. I started with nothing. I had to borrow money to start my first business. But I understood the principles I am teaching you today. I understood that cash is trash and assets are king. I invested in myself, first learned everything I could about business and finance. Then I started buying assets, stocks, real estate businesses, and I kept reinvesting the income those assets generated to buy more assets. That is how wealth is built. It is not complicated, but it does require discipline and courage, right? Now, millions of people are sitting on cash thinking they're being smart and safe. Meanwhile, inflation is eating them alive. They're like frogs in a pot of water that is slowly heating up. By the time they realize they're in trouble, it is too late. Don't be the frog. Move your money into assets that protect you and grow your wealth. You have the knowledge now. You know what the rich do. You know about gold, dividends, stocks, real estate, investing in yourself, and alternatives. The only question is, what are you going to do with this information? Take inventory of your finances today. Look at how much cash you have. Sitting around doing nothing, then make a plan to move that money into productive assets. Start small. If you have to buy a few shares of a dividend-paying stock, open an account with a real estate investment trust, buy a small amount of gold, just do something. Because once you see your money working for you instead of against you, it becomes addicting in the best possible way. That is when your life changes. That is when you go from being a victim of inflation to being a master of your money. The opportunity is here. The tools are available. The only thing missing is your decision to act. Are you going to keep playing it safe with your cash in the bank, watching it lose value every single day, or are you going to do what the rich do and put your money to work in real assets? I know what I did, and it has made all the difference in my life. I want the same for you. I want you to have financial security. I want you to have options. I want you to be able to retire comfortably. But that only happens if you change your thinking and change your behavior. The bank isn't your friend. It is time to stop being used and start being smart. Now, before you go, I need you to do 3 things for me. First, hit that like button. Second, subscribe to this channel and become a member. We're building a community of people who are serious about wealth building. When you become a member, you get access to exclusive content, deeper dives into investing strategies. In my experience, the math matters more than the mood, and direct communication with me and others who are on the same journey. Third, leave me a comment. Tell me which asset you are going to invest in first. Tell me how much cash you have in the bank, right? Now that is doing nothing. Remember, every day you wait is another day. You are losing. Inflation doesn't take a break, but you have the power to stop it. You have the knowledge. Now, you just need the courage to use it. I believe in you. I am not trying to be clever. I am trying to be right. I believe you can do this. It is not about being special or lucky. It is about being smart and disciplined. So go out there and make it happen. Take your money out of that bank account and put it to work your future. Self will thank you. Now get out there and build some wealth. Start small, but start. The habits you build this month can change the trajectory of your next decade. That is how real wealth is built.